Gamers, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our spoiler, reaction, discussion, breakdown, review, wild speculation of The Mandalorian Chapter 22. This one is called Guns for Hire.
Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts. I've watched the episode twice. What are your overall thoughts of this episode?
I liked it. I mean, I find it interesting that Bryce Dallas Howard likes green grass in Star Wars.
Yeah, a lot of her episodes have been very outside nature based,
Yeah.
haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was good. You know, it advanced the story. It gave us Jack Black and Lizzo and Doc from Back to the Future.
Christopher Lloyd.
Christopher Lloyd. There you go.
I was like, Christopher.
You know, you got to see all kinds of not animals, aliens, and droids and ships
yeah. You had me at battle droids. A little bit of the discussion today has been everybody really likes a lot of people like this episode a lot for the detective noir kind of story of it.
Yeah.
But they're butting up against the Izzo, Jack Black of it all.
Lizzo.
Did I say Izzo?
Yes.
Lizzo. Of it, and how they kind of seem a little out of place. Not casting, if you want, but that's been something they've been doing since episode 1. And it is very much of a departure from what we've gotten the rest of this season. A very utopian society, very colorful, very neon noir kind of feel to it. And some people are butting up against that because they don't feel like we're getting any advancement in the story. And I can kind of understand that if you're not allowing yourself to open up to what they actually have been doing in this series, but also did in this episode. And having Jack Black be an ex-Imperial is just a funny joke.
Yeah.
But then having him be part of the amnesty program and showing how it doesn't work on Coruscant. It didn't work on Coruscant.
Right.
Or if it did work, it's their numbers, essentially.
Right.
They're not really people yet. To seeing how the amnesty program has worked. He's found a second life. He's found a new purpose in his life. He's found the love of his life.
Yeah.
And so it is a little jarring to see Jack Black in Star Wars and Christopher Lloyd. Doc Brown is in freaking Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with the cameo appearances.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of them. They're everywhere. And I think if you're having a problem with the aesthetics of the whole thing, you need to understand that Coruscant and
Tatooine.
I was like, Alderaan, no, that's gone. And Tatooine are not like, that's not the whole, and Mandalore, you know, that's not. There are still some planets. There's probably many out there that are thriving and surviving, and you know, kind of doing this whole utopian thing. And they set this all up with the episode where they were on Coruscant, and they, talked about how there's all this Imperial tech that they've got to try to decommission, and what do they do with it, and
what do we repurpose and what we do not repurpose.
Right. And well, and even if you don't repurpose it, what do you do with all the stuff, right? You're gonna take apart those giant star cruisers. What are they called?
Star destroyers.
Star destroyers. You're gonna take one apart and just like have enough metal or whatever to last several planets for the rest of time, you know?
Right.
And there are many of them.
Yeah.
So, it's, don't be hating because these people carved out their little niche and are living out their best lives as well as they can.
Yeah. One of the problems that people complained about with there was many complaints about Book of Boba Fett, but also with Kenobi, with the sequel trilogy, like why do we keep going to the same planets or the same type of planets? And we try to go to a different planet with a different aesthetic and a different view, and people complained anyways.
Right,
And it's like
right.
I,
It doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't really matter, but I understand. I can get. I can. I will at least listen to the conversation of this is very different than what we've gotten so far in this show. The
Sure,
aesthetically
absolutely.
very much,
Yeah.
and just Jack Black being Jack Black and Lizzo being Lizzo, and like
But they were both I thought they
they
did
were both
very well.
and they're
And
perfect for that District 1 high society.
yeah,
All we do is arts and eat and have festivals and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah,
They're perfect for that.
yeah. I thought they did a
Yeah.
great job. I mean, Jack Black, maybe this is people that aren't used to seeing him in a more serious. I mean, he wasn't cracking jokes or trying to be Tenacious D or, whatever. He was acting the part, and we watched that movie about the house. I can't remember what the name of the movie was where he
The house with the clock on the wall in the
yeah,
walls.
the house with the clock in the wall.
Yeah, he's really good in
And he
that.
was really good,
Yeah.
and he's not Jack Black playing a character. He was good. He
Yeah.
was, the character. So maybe that's a problem for people. I think you and I have moved past that because we did see that movie and we,
I
liked
think
him.
I think too. I mean, at this point, like Prince Philip, one of the princes, was in
Philip is the king now.
not Philip. It
No,
was
Charles is the king now.
Charles is the king. It's one of the kids.
Henry,
Hi-
William.
Maybe it was William and Henry. I don't know. They were stormtroopers. Now got
Yeah,
caught.
yeah.
James
Yeah,
Bond
I
was
think it was actually both of them. Yeah, and Daniel Craig was a
Daniel Craig
stormtrooper,
was, and
and
Lin Manuel Miranda. It's my birthday. I've had cocktails. Was in the back. At this point in time, I'm not. I'm actually looking forward to who is such a Star Wars fan that they show up.
yeah.
They get to be in Star Wars, even if it's just for a small role. I don't think this is a small role. I think this is a reoccurring guest star of the week kind of thing that we could
So
be doing
yeah, and
going
if you
forward.
want to kind of talk about that a little bit, I really felt like this was um, Din and Bo-Katan's opportunity to start to learn to be diplomatic with other planets, because if they're going to try to bring, you know, Mandalorians back together and either try to go back to Mandalore or, um,
Their
live
little
on.
plot of land in the hills outside
Yeah,
Navarro.
I mean, I feel like that's gonna get too small too fast,
Yeah, I agree.
and they're gonna all be like, I mean, that's a good place for everybody to land, pun intended, and figure out their next moves. But ultimately, to me, I think they should go back to Mandalore, and this has shown that you can populate up an inhospitable planet. It was amazing. It was super colorful.
Hmm.
There was grass.
Hmm.
You had these
And those like scrub trees.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like a city, kind of, like a little Tokyo-esque kind of city with all the
Hmm.
neon and everything. Um, so that's an idea that they could take back with them. Say, hey, we can go back to the planet. It's not going to be everything we remembered, but we will be on our planet and we can do these domes. And didn't they say they didn't? Weren't they saying somebody was saying a couple episodes ago about how somebody was said it wasn't habitable, and they said they
So
built domes
Man-
over the
Mandalore, the planet, um, was the last big Jedi Mandalore battle. Was the Mandalorian battle was on Mandalore, and it decimated all the vegetation on the planet, and so they
right,
built domes and learned how to live in these domes on Mandalore.
right,
And so when the Empire came, they just
destroyed
nuked
the domes. Yeah,
nuked all the domes
yeah,
and glassed the fields. So when they showed this shot from the trailer of Bo's ship flying in to this dome city on a grass field, like a lot of people were like, is that Mandalore?" This is long before we knew anything was going. Is that
right,
Mandalore? And then my thought was, it feels appropriate that it's the fall. The fall is all grassy, green, rolling hills, and that's where Sabine Wren is essentially. That was Ezra's home planet from Rebels. That's where Sabine was, it makes sense that the Ren clan had taken and kind of adopted Lafal as their kind of their new home and stuff. But the idea that, like you're talking about, they're the Mandalorians, whether they know it or not, under the Armorer, under Bo-Katan, under Din Djarin, are starting to build alliances and
Right.
friendships
Right.
with different parts of the galaxy that aren't under New Republic control.
Right.
Every place that they have gone to so far are independent planets in the Outer Rim, not under the control of the New Republic.
So I think that this one was because
No, they said multiple times, we are an independent planet, but we're under the charter of Coruscant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Because he,
I caught
'cause
that.
he
I
was
caught that the
like,
second
I
time.
could put a good word in for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they are. So they're not under the. They're
They follow the charter,
they
but they're not. They didn't
right,
sign on the dotted
right,
line or
right.
whatever.
That's how I took it. Now I could be completely wrong, but that's how I took it. Was
Okay.
that they were their own people.
Which is what Navarro does.
Navarro has not signed the paperwork.
Right, but they follow.
They yes,
They follow
yes.
the rules and guidelines.
Yes, but they're also way out on the outer rim.
Yeah,
So when they
yeah.
called for help last week,
Yeah,
they got
nobody
a
came. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and so, but I just I really like that they are. We've had long discussions about who the armorer really is and what her ultimate plan is, but as we sit right now, she's empowered Bo to go out for the Mandalorians and be this beacon of an, I won't say beacon, an example of what Mandalorians are. She's a royal presence. She's got battle readiness. She's been through the fires. She's found her way back to the faith, if you want to put it
Mhm.
that way. And so
And bringing Din with her shows everyone that we can have both
yeah, yeah,
working together, coinciding together, working for the same end goal.
yeah, and that and so when people are sitting there saying this season isn't really moving the story forward. It is, but it's not moving it forward in the slap you in the face every episode. We're doing this, blah 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 blah
Right,
blah,
or the direction that you think it should
or
go.
the direction.
Which
And that's
whatever.
one of the things.
Engage in the story that's being told.
That was one of the things that we talked about last week. Is I'm really loving that I don't know where the story is.
Yeah, yeah.
As much as I love The Last of Us, if I was like you and was naive to the overall story, I think it would have had even a bigger impact on me because of what was being told. Now, it was still a huge impact on me because I was watching you watch it, but this idea that if I'm in episode 3 and I know where we're gonna finish at episode 5 or by if we're in episode 3 and I know how we're gonna finish by the time we get to episode 10,
Right. Or
then
yeah,
why are
where
you
the
watching?
season is going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Why are you watching? And this has the elements of the the first season where it was the Adventure of the Week serial that is basis of Star Wars that
Right.
George Lucas did.
Right.
But I really appreciate that they kind of have been maybe not slapping us in the face with how the story is going forward, but it's there. And if you give yourself a second to pause and think and kind of and re-examine everything, I think this is going to be one of those ones. And on the rewatch, everybody's going to come back and go, "Oh, this season was way better than I thought." And that's fair.
Or they're just being doo-doo heads to be doo-doo heads.
Specifically, the one person that I saw today that I was like, I think you're missing the point was Alex from Star Wars Explained. Now, to be fair, he's watching it from a hotel room in London right now, and so
Aw.
I know because he's at celebration starting this week, and I'm very jealous. But he was one of the ones who was butting up against the guest star of the week kind of thing, and that this really didn't advance the story. And I think if he had a chance to specifically watch the episode a couple of times or a few times for his notes, I think he would have come back around to it. He still may have issues with it, but he'd come back around to it. And he was not the only one who was having that kind of same conversation.
I think it advanced the story.
And very much advanced the story. if you're a one and done watcher, which let's be honest, a lot of people are, I don't know if they're going to be sitting in. I don't think they're going to be engaging in it as fully as the rest of us are, and that's not wrong. It's not. I'm not saying that's a wrong
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah.
I it advanced the story, and we haven't even talked about the dark saber stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just the idea of Ben and Bo and Din, Ben, they are now Ben.
There's the ship name. We have shipped them.
I didn't know I stumbled upon that. But just that them going out again to a different area to make new friends is, I think, hugely important for the overall story.
Yeah.
And so, let's get into the dark saber of it all. So, uh, Axe Wolves, Axe Wolves, um, who is taken over the fleet and left Bo, you
Yeah.
know, on her own.
Yeah.
Um, uh, is that right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Casca Reeves, left and took the fleet, and they've been guns for hire to go out and do bounties, kind of like how Din was, except they're doing it for the money, and Din was doing it to make money for its covert.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a difference there. But when Bo goes challenges him, the fight itself is great.
Yeah.
It's so well done with the jetpacks and the lassos, and there's one scene I think some people are going to have some problem with. Bo, you see Bo put uh, the the gauntlet knife sticks out. They have an exchange, and she punches him in the face. If you're listening, I got this a second time. If you're listening, you hear the knife slide back in. She punches him, and then she backs up, and then she forces it back out. So she's not trying to kill him.
Right.
She's just trying to beat him. Multiple times in the fight, she is please yield,
Yeah.
yield.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
Because they can't afford to lose strong warriors,
right,
people.
right,
I just found it interesting because uh after Din gets, was at the end of the second season when Din gets the dark saber,
hmm
everybody was like I can't believe that people aren't like thinking that this part advances the story, because it was a huge deal. Everybody's like, well, now what?
yeah,
Because they can't, if they fight, one of them has to lose, one of them has to die,
right.
and in order for, like, so Bo would have to kill Din, and well, it's called the Mandalorian, so
Right.
it's kind of his show. That's not going to happen. But she's a fan favorite, so that's not going to happen. But nobody's going to follow her because she doesn't have it, and he doesn't want them to follow him. So I mean, he just like, here, take it back. She's like, it doesn't work like that. So at that end, it's like, how are they going to fix
Yeah.
this? What's going to happen? Um, and this was when they explained it. I'm like, okay, we need red string, and okay, so if we go over here, and then you come around here, and then this goes over here, and it's hers, yay! Um, which was, I mean, I don't know. I guess you could say it was yada yada, but I thought it was.
I don't think it's yada yada at all.
I thought it was an ingenious way to.
It's a perfect solution to be, based on just what Bo says, that we've all killed each other
Yeah.
for so long. We've um uh spread's not the right word.
Shed.
Um each other's blood.
Yeah.
For the dumbest reasons.
Yeah.
And
ultimately, this is another one of those dumb reasons. I mean, I personally thought that they were going to, if they could, bend the rules, loosen the rules, whatever, on the helmets,
right.
that they would, realize that this was just another one of those kind of dumb rules.
Yeah.
She obviously can physically wield it,
Yeah.
because she did. She saved him. And so,
and
she has way more control over it than he does. He's like, fighting with it. She picked it up and
Yeah,
that
because the
thing
sword
was gone.
knows. The sword
Yeah,
knows.
yeah. So it obviously belongs to her. So why are if the sword knows, just let it pick.
It's really weird too that it's I'm going to take a shot at Christianity here because it's my show and I can do that. It's that concept of I'm only going to follow certain doctrine because some of the Mandalorians follow one set of doctrine, and then the next one over follows a similar set of doctrines, but they don't like this one, so they become Protestants.
Yeah,
And the next one's over, like a little bit different than the Protestants, and
yeah,
not really Christians at all, or Catholics if you want to start from there. And they're like, "Nah, we'll be Lutherans," and so eh, the idea of each Mandalorian group is picking and choosing which doctrines they're
yeah.
wanting to follow is put them in this position where they're scattered all over the universe.
Right. Well, and it's fine. I mean, again, going back to George Lucas loves to um, teach us things about the real world without us even knowing it. Right. It's the real world. It's okay.
It's
It's if you're a Lutheran and you're a Christian and you're a Baptist and you're a Protestant, you don't need to hate each other because of it.
right,
You're all Christians, so you should all love each other because you have the same overall idea, thought,
right, right.
and how you get there shouldn't matter as long as you're following the, the basic principles. And so it's kind of the same thing, like
Yeah,
telling people, human beings. Let's just do the 5,000 foot view
right, right.
and take all of that out of there. Human beings, we are all on this planet, and we can't go anywhere else. We all
Not
have
yet, not yet.
we all yeah, that it's gonna before we can actually inhabit something else, it's going to be a very very long time,
Yeah,
if ever.
yeah,
And we all have the same goal
yeah.
to live here and raise our families here. um so stop hating each other, killing each other,
Yeah,
fighting each other over stupid made up things.
yeah. It's still going on in Northern Ireland, and it's been what 200 years of
It's
them
yeah,
fighting,
it's all over the
and
place.
but it's a real world example, and I just the fact that even though he lost, the Axe Wolves lost, um, he still wouldn't accept her as their leader because
Right,
she
she
didn't
didn't
have
have
the
the
dark
yeah,
saber,
yeah.
and it's so you're so beholden to this one set of line of your Bible, if we're using the
Right, your
Christianity thing,
belief or
but
whatever.
you're gonna be willing to take whatever job you can for a coin eh, to pay for your piracy or whatever. It's
Right.
it's very kind of hypocritical. And so when Dan does what Paz Vizsla did in the previous episode and backed Bo up, just like
Mhm.
Paz had backed him up,
Mhm.
it's another example of how the story is moving forward, of how it has to start at a small level,
Mhm.
that this person is their thought process is changing, which is affecting somebody else, which is
Yep.
affecting somebody else,
Yep.
which is and the cascade effect starts going along.
Yep.
And now Bo's got the fleet back and she's got the dark saber back for an acceptable reason.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't just hand it to her. She actually defeated the thing that
That
defeated him.
defeated him. And,
So,
and and if by the doctrine that you are all arguing for, that's acceptable. And if he said no, he might not have made it off the planet.
yeah. Yeah.
I think there was enough of the Mandalorians that were there and part of the fleet that was like accepting of it, because a couple of them they show in the crowd like shaking their head yes,
Yeah.
and it's cool because a couple of them are the other two guys who play the Mandalorian that were part of the group. So it was, I think it
Yeah.
was. I have no basis of knowledge on any of this, but I think a lot of them were the stunt performers for like Katie and
Yeah,
for
sure.
Pedro and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that
They're
it,
hanging around set. Just bring
yeah,
them on.
bring them on. There's not 700 sets of Mandalorian armor in Southern California
Yeah.
that they couldn't just find something figured out.
Right.
So we have the whole dark saber, that shot of Bo lighting it with like inner stance is very reminiscent of Rebels when Sabine gave it to her. Um, and so now we have this. Okay, she now has the dark saber. She now has the fleet. She has allies on two different planets now. What's her next? What is the next move?
Right.
Now all the trailer stuff is gone. All the stuff that we've seen from the trailers are gone. So now what is the next move?
Yep.
Does she go to the Wrens? Does she go? Do we get Moff Gideon now that he has been freed? Do we find out that the Armorer has been secretly working for him in the background?
Or
Or
was it this group that
I don't think so.
no?
I honestly don't think so. Um, I don't think they did all of this heavy lifting to get her back with the fleet that she built. Have them go, well, we did some shit, and I just I think if the Romeo and Juliet opening, I think if they were more forceful in that, we're just gonna come in and take the ship over and blow everybody up and do that stuff. I think that's a better yes. I can get behind that. Maybe it was this group. It was the Night Owls who did it. But because they were so diplomatic and so reasonable, and so we give you every chance to make this work.
Yeah.
I think that is just an example of, yeah, I'm kind of making fun that he's just taking whatever job and trying to do it as cleanly as possible. But if he were really being mercenaries for hire, more like how Din was when we started to get to know
Yeah.
him,
But I mean, a job is a job.
a job is a job, and so I just think the example is a little bit different. I'm also projecting because I really want the Mandalorians to come together.
Yeah.
And I want that to be what the end of next season is. I want the end of the next season is the Mandalorians come together, and we come to find out that the reason they don't fight in the new Galactic Civil War against the the First Order is because they decided we've had enough.
Yeah.
And that's really what I want. I
Yeah.
really want them to come back and say, this is not our fight. We've been through too much.
Yeah.
We've killed each other for too long.
Yeah.
We've lost so much. As much as we have friends in the New Republic, we just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where I hope this story is going. Now, am I going to be upset if they choose a different version of that story? No, not.
Right. Right.
Bryce Dallas Howard directed this episode, and she's proving multiple ways that she needs a movie.
Yeah.
Friday morning, they need to announce that she's doing the movie. Friday morning for celebration is a Lucasfilm panel. We're gonna do something. I don't know what it is because it'll be 4 a.m. for us when that panel happens.
Yeah.
And I'm on vacation for my birthday, so I don't plan on getting up at 4 a.m. as much as I love Star Wars. But uh, but I expect them to announce at least one movie, which was the Lindelof one, which has been changed a little bit.
Yeah.
I expect them to say we have 3 movies in works, like proper. We have a script, we have a production start date. Like here's the cast, that kind of thing. And I want Bryce to be one of those 3 directors, and she understands this world about as she's like a step down. She's in the Rick Fagawima.
Fujihima.
That's so around. And Deborah Chow.
Yeah. I mean, the three
of them
Yeah.
like went to Filoni and said, "Teach us."
Yeah.
And they are so in understanding of what this universe is and how to tell the story and how to do it the right way and the aesthetic and the camp and just everything that I want them to be the face of the next phase of what Star Wars movies is going to be. And specifically Bryce, but I would be okay with all of them.
Yeah. Well, I think I read something a week or so ago that Rick is actually kind of the third to Dave and John.
Yeah,
He's
he is
like
the executive producer this season.
Yeah.
He's the third executive producer this season.
So that's cool.
Which gives me the thought that if they are really going to do this Avengers level in game kind of movie or whatever, that they're building it for him to direct it. John will John will write it. Dave will be in John's ear saying, "You can do this, you can't do that,
The
whatever."
overseer, yes.
But Dave's doing Ahsoka, and the rumor is that they're going to do at least 2 seasons of Ahsoka, and so which is a whole nother whatever that could be. So have Rick be the guy.
Yeah.
And so, but I'm really, really, really. She's freaking Lucasfilm royalty anyway.
Right.
Just by birthright.
Right.
But she has done a great job with every episode, and I liked the detective noir setup this
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah.
I really did like that.
I just feel like it's building on Din and Bo's uh relationship, like their working relationship, that
Yeah,
they can, they had to work together even though, both of them were trying to do things differently, and he understood how to deal with the Ugnaughts, and and she was a little better with the droids.
the droid
So
follower. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was fun to watch them go back and forth with who was the good cop and who was the bad
Yeah.
cop, depending on which
Yeah.
situation they were in. And
Uh,
some people might be pushing against that Den, was very much against. He's shown progress on how to deal with droids. It's true, but he still has that in him.
yeah.
You still have a battle droid nightmare. So even though it was kind of played off as a joke, you had me at battle droids. Like it's triggering for him still, even if he has had that evolution of himself.
Yeah.
It's still there,
They killed his parents.
and it killed everybody.
Yeah.
The women and the children too. I hate sand. So let us know what you thought of this episode and our discussion about it in the comments down below. Please be nice. That's a requirement around here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links in the description down below. And until next time, cult members, only 2 episodes left. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.